Hello guys, how are you? I hope you will be fine. So guys, let's start. My today topic is transport of respiratory gases. Intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide by blood passing through the capillaries of alveoli is brought about by following factors. First is the fusion of oxygen in and carbon dioxide out occurs because of difference in partial pressures of these gases. Within the rich network of capillaries surrounding the alveoli, blood is distributed in extremely thin layers and therefore exposed to large alveolar surface. Third is blood in the lungs is separated from the alveolar air by extremely thin membranes of the capillaries and alveoli. Transport of oxygen. In human beings, the respiratory pigment is hemoglobin. It is contained in the red blood corpuscles. Hemoglobin readily combines with oxygen to form bright red oxyhemoglobin. Oxyhemoglobin is unstable and splits into the normal purple red colored hemoglobin and oxygen in the condition of low oxygen concentration and less pressure. Carbonic anhydrase enzyme present in RBC. RBC means red blood cell facilitates these activities. In this way, hemoglobin acts as an efficient oxygen carrier. A small portion of oxygen also gets dissolved in blood plasma. Hb plus oxygen O2. Hemoglobin plus oxygen gives us oxyhemoglobin HbO2. Hemoglobin can absorb maximum oxygen at the sea level. The maximum amount of oxygen which normal human blood absorbs and carries at the sea level is about 20 milliliter to 100 milliliter of blood. This is the maximum capacity of the hemoglobin for oxygen when it is fully oxygenated. Under normal conditions, blood of alveoli of the lungs is not completely oxygenated. When an oxygen tension is 115 millimeter mercury, hemoglobin is 98% saturated and therefore contains 19.6 milliliter of oxygen per 100 milliliter of blood. This means that hemoglobin can be almost completely oxygenated by an oxygen pressure of 100 mm mercury which is present in the lungs. Any higher oxygen pressure would have the same result. When oxygen pressure falls below 60 mm mercury, as in many cells and tissue, the oxygen saturation of hemoglobin decreases very sharply. This results in the liberation of large quantities of the oxygen from hemoglobin. In this way, in the tissue where oxygen tension is low, oxyhemoglobin dissociates separately. There are three major important factors which affect the capacity of hemoglobin to combine with oxygen. First is carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide pressure increases, the oxygen tension decreases. The capacity of hemoglobin to hold oxygen becomes less. In this way, increased carbon dioxide tension favors the greater liberation of oxygen from the blood to the tissue. Second is temperature. Rise in temperature also causes a decrease in the oxygen carrying capacity of blood. For example, in the decrease muscular cavity. Muscular activity. Third is pH. The pH of blood also influences the degree to which blood binds to hemoglobin. As the pH of the blood declines, the amount of oxygen bound to hemoglobin also declines. This occurs because decreased pH results from an increase in hydrogen ions, and the hydrogen ions combine with the protein part of hemoglobin molecule, causing a decrease in the ability of the hemoglobin to bind oxygen. Conversely, an increase in blood pH result is an increased ability of hemoglobin to bind oxygen. Transport of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is more soluble than oxygen and dissolves freely in the tissue fluid surrounding the cell. From the tissue fluid, dissolved carbon dioxide passes to the plasma with the blood capillaries. Carbon dioxide is transported in the blood in several different states. First is some of the carbon dioxide, about 20% is carried as carbo-oxyhemoglobin. Carbo-oxyhemoglobin is formed when carbon dioxide combines with an group of hemoglobin. Second is other plasma proteins also carry about 55% carbon dioxide from the body and to the capillaries of the lungs. About 70% carbon dioxide is carried as bicarbonate ion combined with sodium in the plasma. As carbon dioxide from tissue fluid entered the capillary, it combined to form carbonic acid. CO2 plus H2O gives us carbonic anhydride H2CO3. The carbonic acid split quickly and ionize to produce hydrogen ions and bicarbonate ions. H2CO3 gives us H plus HCO3 negative. When blood leaves the capillary bed, most of the carbon dioxide is in the form of the bicarbonate ions. All these reactions are reversible in the lungs. Bicarbonate ions combine with hydrogen ions to form carbonic acid, which split into water and carbon dioxide. In this way carbon dioxide which diffuse out from the capillaries of the lungs into the space of the alveolar sac. CHO3 minus plus H positive gives us H2CO3 gives us CO2 plus H2O. Small amount of carbon dioxide is also carried by the corpuscles combined with potassium.